Hello and good morning. Welcome you all at the Igniting Young Minds webinar campaign presented by Namami Gange and organized by APAC News Network, APAC News Network. We are the 13th edition of this Igniting Young Minds, but this time with a different touch. Today, we're organizing this webinar where we have a global perspective. That's why the tagline of this webinar campaign is Igniting Young Minds, a global campaign, where we'll talk about how we can nurture today's young water sustainers for tomorrow's global sustainability leaders. And for that, we have with us special guests from Namami Ganga. We have Sri Ashok Kumar, Director General, National Mission for Clean Ganga, Namami Ganga, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India. We welcome you, sir, who will be delivering the keynote address and who is the main man behind this campaign, who is bringing the education community together to make a difference for river conservation and river rejuvenation. We're also joined by four eminent education leaders from different part of the country and the world. We're joined by Mr. B.S. Yadav, Chancellor, IES University. And if I'm not wrong, I think IES University has already signed an MOU with the Namami Ganga Authority to make a difference. We're also joined by Dr. Narayana Shenoy, Professor of Geology, Science of Earth, Ocean, Space from Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Welcome, Dr. Narayana. We're also joined by Mr. Arpan King from the Kingdom of Bahrain, e-learning expert, Arabian Gulf University. Welcome, Mr. Stephen. And I'm told that Dr. Neena Singh Zutshi, Professor and Dean Academics, World University of Design, will be joining us shortly. So before we hand over the session to Sri Ashok Kumar for his keynote address, we'll set the tone of this webinar, why this webinar has been happening. Can we have the Ganga anthem on screen, please? Chirag, can we play the video, please?
भगवती तव तीरे नीरमाद्राशनोऽहम् विगत विषय तृष्णा कृष्णमाराधयामि विगत विषय तृष्णा कृष्णमाराधयामि सकल कलुषभङ्गे स्वर्ग सोपान संगे सकल कलुषभङ्गे स्वर्ग सोपान संगे तरल तर तरङ्गे देवी गंगे तेरे आंचल तले माँ तेरी हर बूंद में बहती हुई ममता मिले तू हथेली तन पे फेरे मन को भी निर्मल करे जिस तरह को तू छुए जीवन से उसको सींच दे लेके आया हर कोई बस पाप तुझको सौंपने, फिर भी तू बहती चले सबको लगा करके गले। स्वाद अमृत का तुझे ही चूम कर जाना, प्रसीद 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 प्रसीद। नमामि गंगे 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 नमामि गंगे। पानी जो तेरा खारा तेरे आंसू की धारा, कैसे मैं देखूं संतान हो। माना है तुझे माँ ये धर्म है मेरा, मैं तुझे तेरा वो सम्मान दूं। नमामि
Well, this film clearly gives us a message that why it is important to save and clean River Ganga and other rivers as well, why it is important for the livelihood. But let's hear from the man whose vision was to start this webinar series, Igniting Young Minds, why it is important to create awareness in the minds of the young for river rejuvenation and overall water management. Over to Sri G. Ashok Kumar, Director General, NMCD, Minister of Justice, the Government of India, for his keynote address. Over to you, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be with Mr. B.S. Yadavji, Chancellor of the IAS University, Bhopal, Dr. Narayana Shenoy, Professor of Geology from the Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, Dr. Neena, Zutshi from the World University of Design, Delhi, and Mr. Arpan Stephen from the Arabian Gulf University. And I have with me here Dr. 𝐍𝐚𝐿, who is the leading water, he is from IIT Kanpur and the heading the 𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐺, one of the organizations which really guide us technology for and provides us national and international solutions for cleaning the river Ganga. And Samit is there, who is also one of the part of this 𝐶𝐸𝐴𝐺, who looks at getting international technologies for us. Now, good morning, everybody. And this is a wonderful day with a lot of rainfall, and probably talking water conservation today, it'll be like carrying coal to Newcastle. But then this rain today is good, but then probably you may say that water everywhere. But after maybe 3-4 months, some of them will say that not a drop to drink. So this is a problem with the Indian water scenario here. We get rain during the monsoons, a lot of rains, particularly with the climate change. The intensity of rainfall has gone up, but the total rainfall remains the same. So despite having good rainfalls every year, we regularly see the phenomena of droughts. We find that in summers, people running tankers all over the place to ensure that water is made available to everybody. So it's a very funny situation. When the rain comes there, we have a lot of rain, and the rain which comes in large quantity in a very short time with high intensity. Large quantity of water is wasted without getting stored, and it gets run off, causing heavy damages. You would have seen in the TV and other social media the way people are suffering with floods. Now, after some time, you can see this video of people carrying water on their head and probably waiting long queue for getting drinking water. So this is a disbalanced position where you get very high rainfall for short periods, and then after some time we have drought and people run for water. So this is what we want to sort of manage it, and definitely if we can address this issue properly, plan this issue properly, make awareness, this can be rectified. We can smoothen out that the big ripple coming in one part and then the trough acting in one place. So we can we can smoothen it out and ensure that water availability is throughout the year. So from Namami Gange side, I'm very happy to be associated with this because Namami Gange is one of the flagship programs of the Government of India. We were mandated to clean River Ganga, and then we have done it fairly well. The Ganga is mainstem Ganga is now appreciably clean. We are moving down to cleaning of the tributaries. This is not said by me. We have the dolphins and the biodiversity on the river Ganga in thriving. The number of dolphins have gone up considerably from 300 to about 3,300, which is an indication that the water has gone up, quality has gone up. We also have the recognition from the UN as one of the 10 top flagship eco-restoration flagships of the world. A very, very unique position for Namami Gange, and we, as a part of that recognition, were invited to UN for delivering the talk in the UN Water Conference held in March. So, fairly good recognition from the people and from the international bodies. And I would say add one more big recognition we got was the Kumbh. The number of people participating in Kumbh this year was in the 2019 was about 20 crore, when we expected a target of about 7 crore people. Now, having said that, water conservation and river conservation is very important, but river conservation is possible only if there is water conservation. So water conservation has to be there, and that's where we want all the citizens' participation in it. Honorable Prime Minister always mentions that Jal Andolan should be a Jan Andolan, and unless people participate, it did not be sustainable and successful. So the thrust is on making people participate voluntarily, making every citizen responsible, aware of their responsibility, and try to respect water. We always talk about the 3 R's for the water conservation. The reduce water, reuse water, recycle water. Obviously, if the water demand is reduced, if we can reduce the requirement or usage of water by using it multiple times, or even trying to reduce the use of water, like you can wash, take bath in 100 liters of water and on 1 bucket of water also. You can use very little water for irrigation, and also go for flood irrigation, which is one of the most inefficient methods of irrigation. So reducing the water usage is of primary concern, very important, particularly in the agriculture sector, because our water use efficiency in the agriculture sector is very bad. While the farmers of US and Brazil use 700 liters of water to produce unit output of paddy or wheat, our farmers use about 3,000 liters of water. So it's a huge wastage of water, and on top of it, farmers use water from the bore wells and the groundwater. So it requires huge energy for pumping up this water. So a large usage of energy, but almost they say 20-25% of energy usage in India is lift of water from the underground and use it for irrigation in the most inefficient way. So water, reducing the water usage in all aspects of life can really save water, and which we can use it for the future generation. Second is the reuse of water. Water can be utilized multiple times. I mean, I always give this example. Water from the overflow of the, or not overflow, the reject of the RO. Most of the houses have ROs now. The ROs reject about 40 to 50% of water. I don't know why they reject it, but then they reject it. So 40 to 50% of water which they reject can be collected and used for washing your vegetables and fruits, etc. That can be used for mopping the floor, and that can be used for washing, putting in the plants for potted plants in our house. So one water, 3 uses, so 4 uses. So multiple use of water, reuse of water can reduce the use of fresh water. Similarly, we talk about the treated water from the sewers, STPs, etc., which can be used for irrigation purposes, which in turn can reduce the abstraction of water from the rivers and other good water sources. So this reuse of water is of very important. Recycling of water is one step probably ahead, where we recover water from the sewage and other impurities, and then use that water for non-potable purposes. So this is what is called as a circular economy in water. Circular economy in water means normally it used to be a linear one-dimensional equation flow. You take material, use it, and then dump it. Now the world has realized that this linear movement is not sustainable. You have to get back the circular, close the loop, and ensure that there's a circular economy, recover whatever possible from the output, and then reuse it so that the world is sustainable. So reuse, circular economy is very important, and we have been now focusing on increasing the circular usage of water by recovering it and reusing it, etc. So the 3 are, as I said, reuse, recycle, and reduce. And then we also added 2 R's, the recharge of water, the water bodies and rivers. And the 5th R is the respect for water. If you start respecting water, probably we will not waste water. We tend to waste a lot of water because we assume that water is available in plenty, and water, when we open the taps, water will come. Now, unfortunately, in many of the areas and cities, our children, our students are not aware how the water is brought into your home. They assume that, okay, some water is coming in rainfall, so when you open the tap, water comes in. So if you ask in cities, probably they may say that, what is the source of water? They say it's tap. But there is a lot of process involved in that. The gel board or water boards or the water supplying companies, they have to extract water from the ground or from surface water from rivers. In Hyderabad, I remember they bring it from over 186 kilometers away in Godavari, 100 kilometers away from Krishna. The water is pumped to the place, taken in the water treatment plant, treated for removal of pathogens, etc. Then added necessary solids, and then pumped to your house. So it involves huge cost. The cost of electricity for pumping their water is also very huge. So this is our children. Many of them are not aware. They say that when you open the tap, water comes. That's all. So they have to be made aware of the importance of water, how the water is brought to your house. And another very important thing is how and why we should reuse the sewage. Because again, our children are familiar with flushing the toilet and then forgetting about it. Where the water goes, nobody knows about it. There is a lot of science involved in getting the sewage water disposed of safely in the river or in other reuse purposes, because otherwise this can be a source of contamination of good water. This can be a source of illness for people. This can be a source of tremendous health hazard. So there is a science involved. There is a lot of processes involved in treating in treating this sewage and then safely disposing it off. So Namami Ganga is involved in that process. We build about sewage treatment plants, which we have now renamed it as sewage Nirmal Jal Kendra, and we treat that water and use it for non-potable purposes. So one message I would like to tell today with all the students who are here, the university students and the senior professors here, is spread the message among the students that water conservation is important for them, and that they should start using, reduce the water usage in their home for all purposes, and also see that the treated water is used for non-potable purpose, trying to conserve potable good water for drinking purposes only. There are the SDG goals mention that democratization of access of drinking water. They talk about equity of distribution of drinking water. All this is possible only if good water is available. Good water is available only when we start reducing the usage of water, good water, by substituting the water used in non-potable purposes with treated water, etc. And second very important message which I would like you to talk to, because all senior professors are here, chancellors and influencers are here. You should be able to pass on the message to your students, because you control a large captive of students, young mind, who have to be trained and to be properly guided. So they listen to their teachers, their staff more than anyone else, not even more than better, even I say parents. So you are their role models for them. They listen to you. So you have to put that seed in their mind that the water is precious, water is to be conserved. So now as I started in Delhi, we have very good rainfall happening outside, and roads are flooded. In many places we have traffic jams because of that. But as I said, if you don't conserve this rainwater, probably after a few months, we'll have to look for the tankers. So how we conserve this rainwater is the simple message mentioned in the Catch the Rain campaign. Catch the Rain campaign says that catch the rain where it falls, when it falls. It is a decentralized storage of water. In your house, store water. In your field, store water. In your village, store your water. In your garden, store water. Why should you let this rainwater flow out of your compound and then go to the roads and then get it flooded? So catching the rain where it falls, when it falls, have multiple advantages. It helps you to conserve or confine the rainwater in your area, in your compound, and then down to the earth where it is falling. It helps you in preventing rainwater, etc., flowing and causing floods. It also increases the water table, thereby decreasing the usage of power for pumping up the water. So multiple uses are there, and if the water table is very high, if you can conserve this water in your ground, your floods in the rivers which cause havoc in rainy season can be controlled. It can also help you in providing continuous water during your summer days. So very important, this Catch the Rain campaign, and particularly for the students, this is it is about their future, because this generation, if we can use water and throw it out and waste it and go and pollute the very limited existing good source of water, and our generation may go, but then the next generation, even they have hundreds of dollars in their bank accounts, even they have 21 thousands of iPhones with them, that will not substitute for water. Water has to be provided, and no technology has so far been developed to produce water. So water in the universe remains constant, so it has from one form to another. You have to ensure that whatever water is available is preserved and conserved. That message has to go to the students, and I'm happy that the World University of Design is also here. We are now taking up with something called as a River City Alliance. I'll take another 2 more minutes. River City Alliance is there, where we are forming alliances of the cities on the banks of rivers. Not many cities have rivers on their banks, so we have now started a River City Alliance to bring in the planners of the city and the municipal commissioners of the cities on the banks of rivers to use river as an economic growth engine. You see that if you go to London and other places, you see we do a boat ride, and they say that the riverfront property is very high value. But here, most of the cities use the water as a source of dumping their waste, and then it stinks those places, and the river property has actually less value. So to reverse the situation and to use this water as an economic growth engine for the cities, we have started the River City Alliance. It's come out very well. So I stop. It's about 15 minutes I've taken time. That's the time allotted to me. Thank you for patiently listening. and let this message of conserving water go to the students. And the last point I would mention is universities can do a lot. We have signed MOU with about 50 universities in the country. Chancellors and vice chancellors have joined us, pledging their support and alliance for conservation of water and rejuvenating rivers. Ganga is rejuvenated because the rivers or the tributaries or the sub-tributaries which actually add water to the river are revived. So if you don't have the tributaries revived, the Ganga also will not be revived. All rivers are fed by tributaries, and tributaries are fed by the small rivulets and gullies. So unless you revive these small rivulets, bigger rivers cannot be revived. Kaveri, etc. All are, you can see how much problem people face because the water Kaveri dries out in midway. So using the students for spreading the messages of water conservation, using your compound of college compound to store all the water flowing in your, with the message, not a drop from my compound to go outside. We should have this campaign, not a drop to go from my compound. All water falling in your area should be impounded in your compound, and you can build lakes if you want in your compound. That's good for the aesthetics of the compound, or in the groundwater aquifer, store it there. You also can adopt villages nearby your colleges, and then develop the tanks and ponds in that area. Villages, make awareness about the dirty water flowing into these rivers and prevent pollution of those good water bodies. This is a tremendous message of opportunity for youngsters to work for the community. I hope that all of you would be guiding this great event in your college and Navy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sri G. Ashok Kumar, Director General of National Mission for Clean Ganga, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India, for not only delivering the keynote address but also giving us an overall perspective of why this webinar series is important, is being organized, and what is the importance of saving water and rejuvenating rivers for the growth of the country, and why people's participation is important. And when we talk about people, youth of this country plays a huge part. If I'm not mistaken, I think almost 65% of our population falls under age of 35, which is a big opportunity for us compared to other countries. And we have to leverage the power of youth. And as Sir has rightly said, if we can ignite these minds and to create awareness in their minds, I'm sure the future is bright in terms of water conservation. So without taking much time, let's hear from the educational leaders of our country and abroad. Let me first invite Mr. B.S. Yadav, Chancellor of IS University, to share his perspective, what his institution is doing, and what he intends to do in the future in this scheme of things. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Goswami. Respected 𝐺. Director General NMCG, Namami Gange Project, and all the esteemed co-panelists. First of all, I thanks this NMCG and APAC News for inviting me to be part of this very important discussion on Namami Gange Project. As a university, we are signing up this Ministry of Jal Shakti initiative, which is taken by G. Ashok Kumar sir, for connecting the universities of the entire country from north to east and all the part of the country. So we are also signing up that important this initiative of Government of India. As Ganga is a lifeline of entire almost 60% population of the country, covering entire northern state of the country, which is one of the most populous and high density in the country, which entire Ganga is covering. So Ganga is naturally most important for all from all the perspective. If I talk about my state, Madhya Pradesh, so this under the initiative of Government of India, this Jal Jeevan Mission, our state is doing wonderful work, and as the government mandates, so by 2024, this MP, all the villages will be connected through the tap water. Just like Ganga, Madhya Pradesh is also having one of the river is called Manarda, which is also very religiously important for the entire state. At the IS University, we are in education from pre-school to university level. So we have around 15,000 kids, right from toddler to this PhD scholar. So under that, this this MOU which happened 2-3 months back. We have started this awareness about this campaign and its importance, national importance. Among all the students, we have identified and shortlisted the volunteers which wanted to voluntarily work for this mission, which Dr. 𝐺𝐚𝐿 was mentioning about this importance about spreading the awareness, spreading about the optimum use of the water and this management and conservation as well. And under the mission of Ministry of Education, Government of India, we have a Unnat Bharat Abhiyan, where we adopted around 10 villages in the vicinity of our university campus. So we have also started awareness about this campaign about not only this river Ganga, because Ganga is quite far away from Madhya Pradesh, but about the in general of water conservation and uses of this. So we are happy to be part of this this very important initiative. And as the Director General 𝐺𝐚𝐿 mentioned, we are ready to support this mission, which is taken by Ministry of Jal Shakti and APSC News together to connect in the universities. So we are ready to help on that front. And whatever way we can help in terms of water conservation, not only spreading the awareness, we can also do some ground activity as well, where we can connect it to the nearby villages, other institution, other school as well, because we are also having a 2 big CBSE school. We have a presence in a capital city of Madhya Pradesh, which is Bhopal, and one nearby district also, where we can part of this important initiative. And I think it's a very important, because nowadays everything is connected with the economy, and water is one of the basic need of the human being. But if from economic point of view, we see a lot of expenditure is happening of government providing clean tap water. If properly all this cleanliness and this awareness, not only awareness but initiative for preventing this mixing of this industry waste and other things happen properly, and awareness and everybody contribute, I think they will come when what our Honorable Prime Minister is visualizing for Namami Gange project. This is one of the world biggest campaign to save the river and make it pollution free. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Mr. B.S. Yadav, Chancellor of IUC University, for sharing with us your plan and how you're contributing to this overall scheme of things in terms of igniting young minds, creating awareness. And you said that we're also ready for ground activities in nearby villages and also collaborating with other institutions to create this kind of awareness and run this kind of activity. Thank you so much. Let's hear from Dr. Narayana Shenoy, Professor of Geology from Science of Earth, Ocean, Space, from Manipal Academy of Higher Education. Over to you, Dr. Narayana.
Thank you very much. It is really a great pleasure for me to participate in this webinar. Why we have to conserve water? A basic question. Why we have to conserve rivers? Why we have to conserve our water resources? If you look into the statistics, if you look into the water resources of our country and what is happening in our country, I will put some light on these aspects. Data may vary some here and there. Only to know the ground situation, I am presenting one or two my views on water resources of our country and present scenario, what is happening in the country. See, where we are bestowed with the rich water resources. We receive something like 118 centimeter of rainfall on an average. This is, I think, the second highest average rainfall in the world. The total quantity of rainwater, what we get is something like 37 lakhs of cubic meters, a huge amount of rainfall. Another is we have bestowed with two rainy seasons. One is northwest monsoon, another is southwest monsoon. We are experiencing here in Manipal Since last 1 week, the heavy shower of rain, water is pouring outside now. Third point is we have something like 200 plus rivers in our country. If I speak on rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Godavari, we can name it. We can name something like 2,100 rivers in our country. If we find out the density of rivers, we compare with our total area of the nation, most probably we are the highest density of rivers in the world. If I have not calculated it, but I am simply assuming it that much rivers we have in our country, something like 200 plus major rivers. The third point here is we have 15,000 plus glaciers in Himalaya. That's why it is called Himalaya. They are the water sources scattering potable water for 40% of our the world population and 60% of our Indian population, the glaciers in Himalaya. We have abundant resources of groundwater in our country. We have vast resources of groundwater. In spite of that, we have more than 18% of the nation is covered with wetlands. So we have really bestowed with rich water resources in the world. I remember the poem written by Muhammad Iqbal, "Sare Jahan se Acha Hindustan Hamara." That is because he is inspired by the natural resources of our country. But what is happening actually happening in the country with regard to water resources? Since last 3 decades, I will give you only 3.4 points. Since last 3 decades, more than 3 lakh farmers, they have committed suicide in our country. The reason for the farmer suicide, there are many reasons, but one of the reasons, the non-availability of water or water-related issue. The drinking water has become a commodity in our country. We'll pay 15 to 20 rupees per liter to get one liter of water. We have more than thousands of dams in our country. Some statistics say 6,000 plus barrages in our country. The most of these dams, the reservoir is filled with the silt, because these are very old. I'm not going details into it. And most thousands of open wells and bore wells are useless because they have dried up because of the decline of water table. So what is if I explore the reason for the scarcity of water, the main reason is the indifference of man towards his attitude towards water has made the water issue worrying seriously. Although our country is abundant in water resources, our attitude towards the water, that is the main issue we have to look into. So that is why we have to conserve water. In that, we have to conserve the river. In the rivers, we have to start from Ganga. That's why I'm very happy to be with you to know more about Namami Ganga project. Generally, one question arises here: why we have to preserve Ganga? If you see look into the Ganga river, it is flowing in 11 states of our country, 11 states, from Uttarakhand to Paschim Bengal, 11 states. It covers nearly 40% of our population, and nearly 40% of the agricultural land are in Ganga river basin, and 30% of the Indian population is living in Ganga basin. Per day, something like 2 lakh people, they take holy bath in Ganga. It's good for navigation. And ancient civilization, all of you know that Ganga civilization, after Saraswati civilization, is flourished in Ganga basin. That is why we have to preserve Ganga river. Since the last few years, our university, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, doing a lot of work on water conservation and river rejuvenation. To know one such big project we have taken last year is the awareness on rivers, worship rivers program, that is Swarnaradhana. Swarna means the name of the river, which is flowing very near to our Manipal University. It is 60 kilometers long, and most of the cities in this Udupi district is getting water from the Swarna. We have started a program called Swarnaradhana, similar to Namami Ganga project, but in a very small scale. And we are the best campus in India. AICTE has recognized as clean and green campus. We have done so many water conservation programs, and still we are doing it. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be with you and share my views on Namami Ganga, water conservation, and water resources of our country. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Narayana from the Manipal Academy of Higher Education. You talked about Worship Rivers program, and you said that it's in a very small way you're doing. But we all know that these small steps can actually make a big impact for future. If we all come together and take these smaller steps, that can actually have a bigger impact for the future. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, sir. I'll request other two speakers to just wait for a couple of minutes, because we have a video which will be played now on screen by Namami Ganga. Can we have that video on screen, please?
This is the Ganga, one of the mightiest rivers in the world, flowing over 2,500 kilometers across the heart of India. Born from the pristine snows high in the Himalaya, the Ganga nourishes one of the most densely populated regions in the world, nurturing life in its fertile waters and providing livelihoods to millions. For Indians, the Ganga is more than a river. And for the last decade, rejuvenating the Ganga basin has become one of the most important and crucial missions for India. A sacred river, a giver of life to one of the most diverse ecosystems on the planet. Over the last decade, systemic efforts have been made to rejuvenate the Ganga on a scale never seen before. The river has been given a fighting chance, a hope for the future, to try and come back to its former glory. Ashok Kumar of the National Mission for Clean Ganga has been leading the Namami Ganga program that is deploying about $2.6 billion in various rejuvenation projects across the Ganga basin.
There are very unique experiments which have done in the Namami Ganga and found very successful. One of them is the hybrid annuity model in the STP sector. Operator or concessionaire who takes up the project has to build it and run it for 15 years. We ensure that the payment is based on the quality of water which is coming out of the STP. The second very important initiative was the One City, One Operator program, where all the STPs in the city would be managed, operated and run by one concessionaire who will be responsible for the quality of water coming out from the STPs.
The enormity of this challenge could only be experienced by seeing it. The pollution of the river reaches its apex here and poses a tough challenge to government bodies. And most of this untreated, deadly water has been released into the Ganga through the city's largest open drain, the 128 years old 𝐶𝐚 Nala that runs through the heart of Kanpur. Increased sewage treatment capacities are now being planned in most hotspots along the basin, from Rishikesh and Varanasi to Patna and Bhagalpur, to ensure that the untreated sewage does not flow into the river. The toxic wastewaters from the factories of Kanpur are another serious impediment. Here, the common effluent treatment plant is taking care of just that, treating chemical waste from more than 300 tanneries that discharge their toxic effluents into various drains. The important link in this rejuvenation mission is the involvement of the common people, the real stakeholders in the future of the Ganga. And a turning point for the Namami Gange mission was the 2019 Kumbh Mela, when the world began to take notice.
In 2019 Kumbh, they anticipated probably 10 crore people or 100 million people, but because of the purity of the water which was ensured there, and because of the facilities of toilets etc. which were provided by Namami Ganga, we had over 200 million people visiting it. This is a record of sort, and that has been acknowledged by many pilgrims and the religious leaders who had visited that place during the Kumbh.
The banks of the river that were once laden with debris and dirt have now been made into a flourishing promenade for people to spend time by the water in the safety of modern improvements. Building a connection between people and the river could be the very key to a successful rejuvenation mission. Ghats are cleaned regularly by a group of committed citizen volunteers. They remove litter from the ghats that could otherwise end up in the river. Citizen volunteer groups trained by institutions like the World Wildlife Fund and the Wildlife Institute of India are tackling the issues of poaching, fishnet entanglements, and river pollution. Another committed group of citizen volunteers patrol the river on a boat, the Geology. Trained under the Namami Gange mission, they raise awareness among the local population and make a living by selling their handmade products on these floating boats. While citizens devotedly clean the ghats, reviving this massive river is no easy task.
Life thrives in the presence of water. The Ganga belongs to you, the citizen, the people, to protect and nurture. The most unique river on the planet. The river from the skies.
Wonderful video, wonderful video. It shows where the challenges have been leveraged as an opportunity. The film, one part of the film showed the problems of Kanpur and how that challenge has been overtaken by innovation, by Namami Gange and other stakeholders coming together. That's how we make a difference. So, without taking much time, I'll request Dr. Neena Singh Zutshi, Professor and Dean Academics, World University of Design, to share her views. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Great, great. So it was an absolutely amazing opportunity to be here and to listen to everything that's been happening so far at NMCG. So we've just signed a collab MOU with them as a part of the Universities Connect program. And I think what I would like to highlight, what we as a design university can hope to contribute to this absolutely critical efforts by the government of India and the Prime Minister to take care of the water resources in our country. Because the theme for the talk today was about global challenges, and I think we've already discussed that. The fact that it's pouring in Delhi right now in July, when all of June was wet, so is a part of the larger global challenge that all of us are facing, and that is the popularly termed idea of climate change, and how climate change is now impacting us in a very immediate manner. It's no longer something that's going to happen. It's already happening, and therefore we can no longer afford to be either complacent or think that this is something that somebody else will do at some time in the future. It has to be done now. It seems as if we are already too late. So what is it that India as a nation can inform this global challenge? And I think what it is that we would like to focus on is the fact that in India, water is not just a resource. Water is a living entity. We Ganga is a person. It's not just a river. So these are ideas which, if we are able to propagate amongst the youth of our country, who possibly because of the passage of time and some amount of disconnect with our histories, are possibly not aware of how the rivers are not just water bodies. They are not just resources. They are not just somewhere you go to when you want to go for a picnic or you want to go and have fun. It's something that we have to look at as an elder in the family, and how we take care of our older people and our older generation, how we nurture them, how we make sure that they live happily. If you're able to encourage the young in our universities to look at rivers like that, I think that would be possibly the first step. And that's how at WUD we are planning to do that. In fact, this last week we had a meeting, a faculty meeting, because we are all doing lesson plans for the next semester. And we've all decided to look at NMCG and also Ganga and the whole idea of water as the 3 Rs to sort of seep through our entire curriculum. Now, how do we do that? Design is one aspect of design, would be the solution to a problem. And at our university, we have 7 schools. And Mr. Kumar has already spoken about the role of architecture and planning in water conservation. And we are already thinking about that. We are already looking at, so the Yamuna is very close to the campus. We didn't even know about that till we actually decided to engage with NMCG, and then we started looking at our neighborhood, and we realized that the Yamuna is not too far away, except that there's no water there. It's just the dry bed. So one aspect, a group of faculties are planning to take our students there and see what we can do to look at the riverbed, which is dry right now, and see what can be done to possibly activate it. And because we are very confident now that with NMCG on our side, if we decide to do something, if our students decide to do something, we will get some help from them. We have a school of communication, so we are looking at how we can build awareness through graphic design, through videos. Our students are being encouraged to look at water as a theme in the classroom, and see how they can develop campaigns, visual campaigns around that. Our product design, transportation design, and interior design are also looking at water as a very active part of their curriculum, telling the students when they are making lesson plans to look at themes, conceptual ideas which kind of float around the idea of what, or around the theme of water. We have a school of fashion, which is looking at sustainable fashion and trying to see how one can reduce the waste that the fashion industry generates and see how we can possibly recycle it, or we can try and encourage our students to look at reuse as another aspect to reduce the pollution that the fashion industry possibly contributes to when the river works are concerned. We have a School of Visual Arts, which is again looking at engaging with the whole thematic idea. So they're looking at water as something which is a tangible idea, and how can you make an intangible a kind of narrative around this tangible idea. And of course, we have our kind of newest school is the School of Performing Arts, and they are planning to engage with this river by looking at performances that our students can do, looking at how the river can inspire them for those performances, and how the river can become a setting for those performances. So this is a very, we are trying to engage with the whole idea in a very literal manner, absolutely. Now, how are we planning to do that? As I've already said, we are trying to inculcate it in our curriculum. Our faculties, we are encouraging them to put them in our lesson plan. So what happens is we've already sort of hopefully made, our faculty body aware of the whole idea of water, and hopefully that will transmit. So it's like, a triangular idea. It will go into their families, into their children, and also then in the classroom, if they're talking about it all the time. So very latently, not maybe in a covert manner, but in a not a very overt manner, we sort of subsuming it within our curriculum, so that the students gently become aware of the whole idea of looking at water. We are also, as a panelist mentioned, we also are a part of the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan. We have adopted 5 villages, so we go out to them periodically, but now we've decided that we're going to start talking about water also. So far, we were looking at trying to see how design can become a part of their communities and help them to resolve problems. But now we're going to start looking at how the problems are specifically water-based. So if there is water shortage, or if there is water that's being wasted, then how is it that we as a design university can give them some technical expertise if required, or just some ideation or some access to resources which will help them to do that. We are also looking at technology in a big way in our university, and the whole idea of AI. And therefore, I mean, a lot of us are very concerned about the advent of AI and what it's going to do to our lives. But what if we look at AI in helping us with the 3 R's? And it's very easy to kind of say that this is something wrong or something bad or something dangerous that's happening, and some of us are going to be out of jobs. But I think the position that we are hoping to take is that we can become partners with technology, with artificial intelligence, and to address the problems of the future. And water obviously remains the most critical problem in the future, and we are hoping to engage with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Neena. You spoke about various aspects of your institution, how you're trying to make a difference. Perhaps one of the most important part you said when you said that you're designing a curriculum, finding solutions to a problem. That is very important. That if you design a curriculum where you actually try to find answers to various problem challenges, and accordingly design a curriculum that might help in the future. And also, you talked about how communication is playing an important part in terms of creating awareness, and also advent on emerging technologies. Let's take the best part of the new technologies rather than shelling them away. I think that's very important. Thank you so much. With this, I come to one of the important speakers of this edition of the webinar series. We're joined by Mr. Arpan Stephen from the Kingdom of Bahrain. He's the e-learning expert from Arabian Gulf University. Thank you so much for joining us from Bahrain, Mr. Stephen. Over to you.
Thank you so much. As you've already introduced myself, I take care of the e-learning at Arabian Gulf University in Kingdom of Bahrain. I also serve as a digital and innovation advisor in the Ministry of Education to the minister. I've been listening to all of the the comments from our esteemed speakers. And I think when Akash approached me, it's best that I bring about some of my experience or experience at global level, trying to understand the challenges that different countries across the globe, um, you know, they go through. And primarily, I'll be speaking about the Middle Eastern countries. Though I'm from Bahrain, it's been 10 years that I've been living there. But I'll speak on behalf of all the GCC countries because more or less they all have similar climates and have bigger problems in terms of water resources as compared to India. As you might be aware, I'll just probably share a few points about the Middle Eastern countries, specifically in Bahrain. When we are talking about freshwater resources, you might be aware that water is really scarce in Middle Eastern countries because of the arid climate region. In fact, Bahrain does not have even a single natural river or a lake. So Bahrain as a country is completely, and for that matter per se, all the GCC countries are completely dependent on desalination, converting seawater into potable water. And this technology, as you might know, is very, very expensive. So they're investing a lot of money, in converting the resources. So if you've been to any of one of the Middle Eastern countries and you'll be walking by the pavement, you might see a lot of greeneries. But if you try and go ahead and see what lies under the bed, the soil is not very fertile. So you will find that the pipes are running through every single place you find greenery with additional water support. There's a lot of groundwater depletion that's happening. And the worst part is it's not just drinking water or fresh water we're talking about. The problem is that there's a lot of salinization in soil. Okay, because of improper use of irrigation practices, there's a lot of soils that have accumulated in the soil, a lot of salts. And this has caused even a greater problem in agriculture for a country that already has a very low water index. But as the keynote speaker initially was mentioning, that this problem is very little talked about when it comes to education per se. You ask any one of the students, what do they know about water? Where does it come from? He rightly mentioned everybody or most of the people will say tap water, and the problem is because it has still not been embedded so much in the education sector, and that's why this whole idea of arranging this webinar is to somehow open the minds of the young. And when I say young, it is not just at higher education level where I come from, but even at school levels. And I think Dr. Neena correctly mentioned, I would completely second that somehow it needs to be integrated. It needs to be integrated within the curriculum. And I'll try and I will try and share some ways Arabian Gulf University um, is um, is involved into educating students about this. And I'm not promoting Arabian Gulf University per se, because just to inform, Arabian Gulf is the only regional university in the Middle East that was formed by all the 6 GCC countries. So it doesn't belong to Bahrain, it is just situated in Bahrain. It was formed in 1980 by all the 6 GCC countries, and the councils are the education ministers of all these 6 countries. It is still run, funded, and run by these 6 GCC countries. And there are a lot of courses, especially in master's and PhD programs, that are run for all GCC countries. For example, the biggest one is AGU is the one who hosts the United Nations Water Learning Center for the entire Middle East. So it is in collaboration with the United Nations University in Canada, and it runs a professional diploma program with in integrated water resource management. So this is one of the things that AGU is doing. And then I think what we've done, especially in Middle East, because the problem is huge. It's bigger than the problems that we face in India, is that we run masters and PhD programs in water resource management, and not just this, but there are natural resources and calamities. So there are various PhD programs and master programs that are run to continue fighting these challenges in this thing. Also, we conduct water audits I'm pretty sure there are many institutions in or institutes in India that are actually going ahead with this, but we conduct a lot of water audits, and it is our students and our faculty that do that because it's a government university. There are many projects that are funded. Just to inform, the government is heavily funding even the education part of it. The professional, the professional diploma in the integrated water resource management and all the masters and PhD programs are all funded by a firm called Tamkeen, which is a government body that funds all the students, all the courses, this course for all the students completely. And these are one of the ways they're actually going ahead. Of course, we conduct webinars, we have student clubs and initiatives, we have hands-on activities within these courses, and then we of course call guest speakers from all across the globe to educate people. From my point of view, if you ask me, the best way to carry forward this thing, whether it's India or abroad, water is getting scarce, it is getting depleted, and we need to accept that, just as we are accepting climatic change. And the best way to do is to start educating, trying to incorporate this within the curriculum, not just at the higher ed level but even at K-12 levels, making it part of not just the introductory part of what water management, soil management, and so on is, but in-depth knowledge and in-depth education from K-12 to higher education, and somehow trying to create interest on students to even start focusing on these things, rather than just only going for professional courses. So this is a very short brief about our initiative at the global level, particularly in the Middle East. And I think if we have national collaborations, we will be able to solve a lot of problems together. And this is just a small view of what I wanted to share. I think because we're running out of time as well.
Thank you,
But
Mr. Stephen. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen, for sharing with us your thoughts. And as you have rightly said, Bahrain and some of the GCC countries actually face water scarcity problem for next 20, 25 years. The top 10 countries, I think, Bahrain and some of the GCC countries are also there. And that's a challenge. So the Bahrain has a unique challenge of water, and India has some problems. I think if the best of the minds can come together, the best practices can be shared with each other, that can make a impact. Thank you so much, Mr. Stephen. I think we've come to the end of this webinar edition on Igniting Young Minds, a global campaign which started in earlier 12 editions. We saw presence of Indian universities, and that culminated to MOU signing, as Mr. Asok Kumar was saying in the beginning, that almost 50 plus universities have signed MOU with the Namami Ganga Authority. And so the webinar series we started a year back was just a beginning. And now it's seeing the culmination point where some actions can be taken on the ground, and that's how you make a difference. I request Suji Ashok Kumar if he wants to add something before we wrap up this session. Over to you, Suji Ashok Kumar, sir. I think he must be there, but some work. So I think we end this session now, and see you for the 14th edition of yet another edition of Igniting Young Minds, a global campaign presented by Namami Gange and organized by Epic News Network. I once again thank all of you who have joined together, and this webinar series, this webinar edition was broadcasted live from the ministry official handle. Also, Epic handles in Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter as well. So I'm sure thousands of people must have watched this edition, and they're going back with something in their mind that how can all make a difference. Thanks one again, Mr. B.S. Yadav, Dr. Narayana, Dr. Neena Singh Zutshi, and Mr. Arpan Stephen for joining us today. Thank you. Goodbye. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.